Lieutenant General Gadi Eisenkot, the IDF Chief of Staff, has a well-earned reputation for integrity, as does Reserve Major General Yitzhak Brik, a hero of Israel's Yom Kippur War who served as the IDF's ombudsman for the past decade. But Eisenkot and Brik prepare to conclude their extensive and highly regarded service to the state. These two men are locked in an increasingly acrimonious, so far behind-the-scenes dispute over the cardinal issue of military preparedness. In a classified 250-page report, the IDF General Staff and key members of the Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee, Brik claims the IDF is not ready to fight, let alone win, in a major ground maneuvering war in enemy territory. He's calling for an external probe, led by a judge, to assess the true state of IDF readiness. Eisenkot insists nothing could be further from the truth. Training of infantry and armored battalions has increased dramatically in his 4 years as IDF chief. Warehouses for weaponry and spare parts is at an all-time high, and most equipment has either been replaced or is in the process of being modernized. Nevertheless, as with all large military organization, nothing is ever perfect. Gaps need to be filled, especially with regard to highly skilled manpower where, in Israel's People's Army, some 40% of the military's male and female conscripts rotate in and out each year. After months of the simmering dispute, with both men increasingly focused on their respective legacies they leave behind, Eisenkot has ordered a probe into Brik's claim. It's not the independent examination sought by Brik, as it will be managed by a former IDF ground commander and the IDF comptroller, who reports to Eisenkot. Will it be enough to bridge the growing chasm between the two distinguished Israeli patriots? And more importantly, with increasing hostilities at the Gaza border and the growing threat from Iran and Hezbollah, how truly ready is Israel for a war to come?
I'm joined now by Israeli lawmaker and retired IDF General Eyal Ben Reuven. He's a key member of the Knesset's Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee, representing Israel's Zionist Union Opposition Party. Last year, he co-authored a report highly critical of Israel's readiness for the next war in the north, a sector he's intimately familiar with as Deputy Commander, Northern Command, during Israel's last war in Lebanon. Eyal, welcome.
Hi.
Good to have you here. So you have seen the conflicting material presented by Brik and the IDF General Staff, so who to believe? Is Israel ready for war or isn't it?
Good question. It's two honorable guys, Brik and General Brik and General Eisenkot. I know two of them very well.
I'm sure you do.
General Brik was my commander when I was brigade commander. He was my division commander, and General Eisenkot, he was under my command.
Yes.
In the past. You know, when there is issues like this, sometimes there is two truths. I mean, it's not one true and the other is lying. I mean, I read the two reports of Brik and of Eisenkot and his generals. And I saw that there is no real argue on the fact, but about the interpretation of the fact. For example, Brik spoke with a lot of commanders and NCOs.
At the lower levels, over years, a lot of anecdotal information.
That's right.
Yes.
I must say that interrupt me that I saw in Brik a report that they are speaking without their names. I mean, this is against the DNA of the IDF. What it means commanders speak without their names. Brigade commanders speak to Brik without his name. I spoke a week ago with the ground forces commander, Kobi Barak. I told him this is an issue that you have to take care about. What it means commanders on level of brigade, division levels, who speak without names. I mean, what's that?
What is it like breaking the silence?
I mean, I don't know this military, you know, it's make me crazy about it. But we have to take Brik issues with very, very serious. Why? Because first of all, he's professional. You know, he is an old commander.
Right.
He spoke from his heart.
From his heart, passionate.
From his heart. You know, and even 50% of his report is true. It's something that the IDF has to take in account. I heard again. I met the ground forces commander. He shows what he did in the last 3 years, and I must tell you, the ground forces
impressive
for years stays behind. You know, it was my complaint in the Second Lebanese War. If you remember, I have a lot of criticism
but still,
about it.
To this day, they're staying behind.
Now, Gadi Eisenkot, he wrote a strategy to Israel, to the IDF, which says, in the next war, we will give another results, decisive results, and we do that with the Air Force, with the Navy, and with the Air Force, and with the ground forces, which we forgot behind, and that's. And we saw it in the field. I mean, now, for example, we came back to the time for training that I remember it as a soldier. I mean, 17 weeks for training and 17 weeks for operational means. Now, I mean, he did a lot for the ground forces. If you ask me today, if one of the Hezbollah guys look at us now, don't try to
don't mess with us. Don't test us.
Don't test us, and don't the ground forces because we are ready for war. If the Brik has very serious points, we have to take them. The first one is about the professional officers and the soldiers, about their motivation.
Eyal, I have to ask you, sorry about that, but I understand Brik's major concern is not the training rates that have significantly improved or the state of IDF weapons warehouses, but rather something far more problematic, and that is the truthfulness in reporting. It's not as if the High Command is misleading the Knesset and any other oversight body, but perhaps they're not being fed accurate and complete information at the lower levels. Is this a systemic failure?
No, as I told you, I saw the reports. The Chief of Staff, Gadi, he's a guy who are on the ground. I mean, I know him so many years, and I trust him so much. So I can't say that he doesn't know what's going on in the level of the soldiers. He knows. But and you know, when I met again Kobi Barak, General Kobi Barak, he report us about the weaknesses that he had, and that's the report. And that is like Brik said, but to say the military of the IDF is not ready for war, this is something that, you know, always we want more. Again, the most important point, as I saw, is the part of deal with the professional officers that we want them to continue to serve.
To prevent the brain drain, to keep them in the professional rank. With diametrically opposed conclusions, there's an interesting meeting coming up in the Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee?
We are, as a security and the Foreign Committee, we are these reports very seriously. And in the next days, in this month, we are going to meet together, General Brik and Gadi Eisenkot, the Chief of Staff. I'm sure it will be very, very interesting.
And it will be open to the public?
No.
It'll be a closed hearing.
No. And I personally ask to go and to see by my eyes. I have my experience, and I'm going to meet these guys that Brik met them in the field. I'm going to do it and to ask them the question, to see by my eyes and to get the picture. But again, the IDF ready for war.
Well, and does the IDF need external oversight? Brik is pressing for an independent panel, someone who does not report directly to the Chief of Staff. What's your view?
You know, this argue in the media, it's not doing very well to Israel, to our national security. You know, okay, we get the report of Brik, we understand it. Now it has to come to another level of dealing. The Chief of Staff, he decided to create a new committee with General Harari and Avi Mizrahi.
But Harari reports directly to him.
Okay, but Avi Mizrahi, he's a reserve general. He didn't need the Chief of Staff. He was a brigade commander under my command.
Right.
I know him very well. I trust him. Avi Mizrahi,
yes.
I think it's enough.
All right. Finally, let's end on the issue of U.S. aid to Israel. That 10-year, $38 billion aid package went into effect this week. And as generous as it is, are you hearing anything from your sources in the defense establishment about Israel's need to perhaps go back to the Americans and ask for more money given the elevated threats?
Israel in security always needs more, always needs more. I would say that I heard our Prime Minister said that we need around 37 shekels, 37 billion shekel more for the security for the next 5 or 6 years. It doesn't speak about get it from
where is it going to come from?
Where it's come from. I know there is some people who are saying, let's go to Trump because he is our friend. Maybe he will bring us more, but not more than that. I think about this money that Americans support us. It's a lot of money. We need it. One point about it.
Sure.
I'm very concerned about the future of our industry, of our security industry, on the small and the
small and medium right, the firms,
level. Why? Because the American says, in the next, now it's 4 years,
right.
You can't use shekel, only dollars. I'm working on that in the Knesset to create something that will give our small and medium industries
that is
the capability to continue to work, because this is something that we need. You know, in wartime,
right.
we must trust on ourselves, on our industry.
Self-sufficiency.
If we will take all our industry to U.S., not good for our national security.
Eyal, that is a key point that you mentioned, and I'd love to have you back to focus on that issue of this offshore procurement.